皆さん、また来てくださってありがとうございます。こちらはマンハッタンニューヨーク、月曜日の午後です。ということでね、もうね、本当にいろいろありすぎて、乗っけようと言ってるものがもうどんどん遅れていっちゃうんですよね。今日乗っけるやつは、やっぱり皆さんちょっと、切れ味最高 JD バンス、関の孫六見たいんじゃないかなと思って。副大統領就任後、初めてのご披露です。ということで、乗っけてみたいと思います。あとね、ニュースとしてはね、今日朝上がってきたので、もうね、ほんとトランプさん素敵と思うんだけど、約束通りワクチンを受けなかったために解雇された米国軍人、数千人を復職させて、その給与とか、その福利厚生全部を戻します。っていうことをね、早速ヘクセスさんに命令したんですよ。もうね、本当にね、素晴らしいと思います。でね、その前のニュースで、もう日本でも出てたと思うんですけど、コロンビアに強制送還させた人たち、飛行機を、コロンビアの大統領が受け入れ拒否みたいな感じでしたんですよね、最初。でね、もうね、速攻、トランプさん、ドンこれすごいんですよ。もう1週間で関税 50%。50% ですよ。全商品に。しかも渡航禁止。コロンビア人渡航禁止。さらにはコロンビア政府関係者、ビザ取り消し。コロンビアを支持する同盟国。ビザ取り消し。さらには経済権限法発令。ということで、金融制裁全面に課す。もうめちゃくちゃなギャングですよ、これ。もうね、やっぱりね、コロンビアだけじゃなくて、コロンビアの同盟国にもビザ取り消しとか、全面制裁。もうめちゃくちゃですよね。これ、もう、で、この下の方に、これ序の口だからなって書いてあるんですよ。怖すぎ。ということでですね、ウェルカムバックということでコロンビアさん大降参して、お帰りなさいっていう受け入れを、しましたっていうことで、そりゃそうですよね。怖すぎですもんね。ということで、動画は、切れ味最高バンスさんです。どうぞ。
Hegseth, it was a tie. Bipartisan opposition, smallest margin since the job was created. You had to break that tie. If the nominee can't unite your party, how's he going to lead 3 million people?
Well, look, I think Pete is a disruptor, and a lot of people don't like that disruption. But, Margaret, that disruption is incredibly necessary. If you think about all of those bipartisan, massive votes, we have to ask ourselves, what did they get us? They got us a country where we fought many wars over the last 40 years, but haven't won a war about as long as I've been alive. They've got us a military with a major recruitment crisis, a procurement price crisis that's totally dysfunctional, where we buy airplanes for billions and billions of dollars, terrible cost overruns, the delivery dates are always delayed. So we need a big change. Now, admittedly, there are people who don't like that big change, but it is necessary, and it's explicitly what Donald J. Trump ran on. And I think part of the reason why the American people elected him their 47th president.
So the main objective is changing all of that? That it's going to be Pete Hegseth alone?
The main thing that we want Pete Hegseth to do is to fix the problems at the Department of Defense. And unfortunately, there are many. We've gotten into way too many wars that we don't have a plan for winning. And our procurement process, Margaret, is incredibly broken. Now, there's another element to this, Margaret, too, which is we believe that military morale, at least until the election of President Trump, was historically low. You had the Army missing recruitment goals by tens of thousands of soldiers, and already recruitment is starting to pick up because Pete Hegseth is fundamentally a warfighter's leader at the Department of Defense. He is a guy who sees not through the perspective of the generals or the bureaucrats. He looks at things through the perspective of the men and women that we send off to fight in our wars.
You campaigned on lowering prices for consumers. We've seen all of these executive orders. Which one lowers prices?
We have done a lot, and there have been a number of executive orders that have caused already jobs to start coming back into our country, which is a core part of lowering prices. More capital investment, more job creation in our economy is one of the things that's going to drive down prices for all consumers, but also raise wages so that people can afford to buy the things that they need. If you look at our slate of executive orders, No, Margaret, prices are going to come down, but it's going to take a little bit of time, right? The president has been president for all of 5 days. I think that in those 5 days, he's accomplished more than Joe Biden did in 4 years. It's been an incredible breakneck pace of activity. We're going to work with Congress. We're, of course, going to have more executive orders, and we're going to try the way that you lower prices is that you encourage more capital investment into our country. And you ask specifically, what executive order is going to help lower prices? All of the stuff that we've done on energy, to explore more energy reserves, to develop more energy resources in the United States of America. One of the main drivers of increased prices under the Biden administration is that we had a massive increase in energy prices. Donald Trump has already taken multiple executive actions that are going to lower energy prices, and I do believe that means consumers are going to see lower prices at the pump and at the grocery store, but it's going to take a little bit of time. Rome wasn't built in a day, and while we've done a whole lot, we can't undo all of the damage of Joe Biden's presidency in 4 days.
Well, there are a lot of things that contributed to higher energy prices, and there was record oil and gas production.
Yes, Joe Biden did many terrible things to lead to an increase in prices. I agree, Margaret.
When do consumers actually get to touch and feel a difference in their lives?
Well, Margaret, how does bacon get to the grocery store? It comes on trucks that are fueled by diesel fuel. If the diesel's way too expensive, the bacon's going to become more expensive. How do we grow the bacon? Our farmers need energy to produce it. So if we lower energy prices, we are going to see lower prices for consumers, and that is what we're trying to fight for. Our children should become American citizens. I don't know any country that does that or why we would be different.
Well, this is a country founded by immigrants.
Well, this is a country This is a very unique country, and it was founded by some immigrants and some settlers. But just because we were founded by immigrants doesn't mean that 240 years later that we have to have the dumbest immigration policy in the world. We absolutely cannot unleash thousands of unvetted people into our country.
These people are vetted. These people are vetted.
Just like the guy who planned a terrorist attack in Oklahoma a few months ago, he was allegedly properly vetted, and many people in the media and the Democratic Party said that he was properly vetted. Clearly he wasn't. I don't want my children to share a neighborhood with people who are not properly vetted, and because I don't want it for my kids, I'm not going to force any other American citizens' kids to do that either.
No, and that was a very particular case. It wasn't clear if he was radicalized when he got here or while he was living here.
I don't really care, Margaret. I don't want that person in my country, and I think most Americans agree with me.